igama lam nguLuyanda kaShwane. I was born and bred in one of the oldest farms on the outskirts of East London, Komga area. I'm married with a beautiful wife, uZanele Shwane. Si nabantwana babini, uLibongwe noMasimbonge.
I'm from Ilita Township, the small township close to Berlin and Mdantsane. Yes. I met with my husband at church, at Harvest Ministries in Mdantsane. So I was serving there in that church, and my husband used to come and visit the church. Sometimes he would visit, and then he became a member of the church. And then we were singing together in the choir. Every Friday we'll come to the youth service and to the choir service.
In 1997, I think at the church where I was serving in Mdantsane, I had a privilege of meeting my wife. I think it was just God's ordained. If it was 97, 96. We had a revival, Elita. It's one of the smallest townships outside Mdantsane. It is in between East London and King Williamstown. So as my own township, Mdantsane was also part in between. But umfundisi wethu at that time, he was a great evangelist, hungry for souls. And little that I didn't know, this young girl was one of the culprits. Khawuleza ntambo, uyaziba xa kukho intente kudityaniswa zantambo, akhawulele ntambo. Simane siyojonga into yoba ngoobani aba bakhupha lona tsika lo mbane, because i-revival iyaqhuba ngelaa xesha. And I never saw her on the day, but I recall vividly all how she came across the salvation in her life. Emveni koko, there were a group of kids coming into the tent. One of the lead vocalists was singing, and the team was very vibrant. She got born again within that week, kusenzeka yonke loo nto leyo. And there was nothing, and she was just a normal sister in the Lord, and things were quite very fascinating, because she was one person who loves to be part of the boys. Besisohlulwa mos enkonzweni abazalwane osister yonke loo nto leyo. And she was a tomboy, like eskel, jeans all the time, techies, like a boyish somebody. We will put on our cologne, and sisters, she will say, oh, ubani, ukhona. We didn't even tell that we are around, but the presence of our cologne will tell the story, and everybody will understand that we have arrived. And that's one of the things probably that we were not aware of at that time. She was still very young, short, and akafuna uqhelwa sisiphumeza ungumntu uqonda ubuya thetha. And I will be very intimidated. I never showed any signs that I'm interested to her, and she will be friends with the guys more than the ladies. And I said to myself, oh my goodness, what can I do? I said, hey, there is something that I want to tell you, but I can't tell you randomly, but I would appreciate if I can take you to a certain place.
And we had a youth conference. Then he said he wants to speak to me during the youth conference. Then he never spoke to me during the youth conference, and then there was a Easter conference. Then we went to the Easter conference, but I could feel that I think lo brother ikhona nje into, maybe He's interested to know me better, or maybe I could sense that there's something about this brother that connects him to me. Then he invited me to the lunch or breakfast. I don't remember. I think it was lunch. And he said, let's have a date at Spare. Hey, I was like, okay, I've never been at Spare. I'm this girl that comes from a rural area. I'm not exposed to these things. And you know, ekhaya kwaku street kakulu. And my mom and my father were reverends from Dutch Reformed Church. So you wouldn't go out if you would want to go out like yo konwaba. If you go out, you must go to church. So then he invited me to this, and then he said, no, I'm gonna make arrangement for you. I'm gonna give you money for a taxi to come to East London, and then I'm gonna meet up with you. Like, I'll find a place where I can meet up, because I was scared. I told him, you know what, I'm not used to this, and I don't know how I'm gonna reach Uspe, because I'm not familiar even with it. But he said, no, I'm gonna make arrangements. And then he came in.
Now, in this place, we came in, we sat down and all that stuff. She was so curious. And I said to myself, my goodness, if I would miss this opportunity. I think one of the greatest things for me, I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. That was another thing that made probably things much more easier for me. I said, I'm looking for the person that I can spend my life with. I think she was so shocked. And I said, I'm ready for you to be my wife anytime. If you can say yes today, I will be very excited. I will be very happy.
Ooh, what an awkward situation. I was like, okay, I think and I feel this is not about God. It's not about evangelism. It's not about worship. It's not about scripture. This brother is up to something. And then he shared the news that he likes me, he loves me, and he wants me to become his wife. Ooh, what a shock. I was like, yo. I'm still at school, doing great, 12, and this man wants to get married with me. I don't think my parents will allow this to happen, but okay, it's fine. Then I asked him to go to the pastor to speak to my pastor, because Mfunzwam was very strict. And that's since SEO, so he was like, he will tell us about boys, he will tell us about everything. And I was scared that, okay, I will fall in love with him, and then maybe someone somehow will like semester something, because courtship was allowed, you know, in our church. So you would do a courtship with this person, then like preparing into zomchado. So you were given a time, like a year, time frame, a year, so that you know Lumtu, and then you get married with her. So at least I was standing the good grounds, but I was scared that he needs to go to my pastor. My pastor must know about this. And then he said, no, I'm going to make an arrangement. I'll go to Mfundisi and I'll speak to Mfundisi. And then he went to the pastor, spoke to the pastor. The pastor called me with the wife, and then they said, let's pray about it. I'm like, yo, sitandaze. Because I'm in love with this man. Okay, let's follow the processes of praying. Otherwise, I'm in. He was a charmer, yo, choga. He was like niche. Even today, he's still like that. Perfume-wise, you know, there are a lot of things that attracted me to my husband. He was this kind of a guy that said, look at me, you know, and he was like this guy, you know, he was very decent. He was not a preacher at the time. He was still umzalwane nje. He was not even on the pulpit. He was not even like Oludwe, his friend. You know, he was like keeping his space. So I fell in love with him. I don't want to lie. And as I sang with the shy nayo, we are called a jonga any cat. So you know, and my sisters were like, no, it's a no for us. They said no. And then I asked, you know, all of them, by one, all of them said no. Not this one, child. Not this one. Wait. So that afternoon, I was like, I was so discouraged, disappointed at the same time. But something said, it's not about them. Kahle, bona, akukho kwamuntu useqaleni kwabo bona. Dim obonwayo. You know, because my sisters were not married at the time. It was only one sister of mine that was married. 4 of them were not married. So I said, aba bafuna uhlala endlini nami sibe sonkeni apha andizi. So ndayalwa ke into bajonga ke sisi ungasenzeli into ezifani ungazibubuye phayana ntontoni kwathini ugqibe ufunda yonke laa nto ubuthe uzawuyenza uyenze and abenqoma jonga I am so in love nabethu nani andiva yonke loo nto nithethayo ndithanda mna umntu wam. I got married at a younger age at 19, and the challenges would at the time would I make it because I'm young, and secondly I'm not experienced, and the person that I'm getting married to I don't know him better the way that I think I should know him better. I didn't have a relationship with him, like ukumazi ukuthi siziphi into azithandayo, what are the things that he likes, and secondly I didn't know how to cook, so that was my frustration because I was the last born at home, so I don't even know how to cook rice, I don't even know how to cook potatoes. So that was those were the fears that I had at the time, and also leaving my parents behind, being introduced to the new family. So yeah, the positives of getting married at a younger age, for me, I struggled to have abantwana emtshadweni. So I had a lot of pressure because there were young couples that had abantwana and I couldn't have abantwana. So the positive things that I would say was, I know that I will still have the chance for me to have abantwana because I'm still young. So I'm not rushing, but there was pressure, pressure and all over around me. So that was, something that being the comfort at the time that I'm young, so I can still have abantwana. And secondly, was like, okay, I'm going to grow with this person. We can accomplish a lot of things because like, and my husband had easy, though he was working at the time and I was not working, I was still studying, a college, and so for me was like, okay, I'm going to grow with this person, and there's a lot of things that I'm going to learn through the journey.
I think at the time I was 21 years. I had to bring my family together and tell them of this thing. And out of the 6 of us, I was the very first one kuchata. Remember, bakhona abadala abaphambi kwam, just 3 of them. Kwakungekho nomnye wecinga ngomtshato, and it was just another bomb for them because I had to bring them together and ndibachazele. But into eyaba ngumcelimngeni into yokokuba ngoku ndikhulile and I needed to provide for my own family. Ibilaa nto yokuqhela ekhaya because I'm the youngest. Ngoku kufuneka ndiyenze le nto bendiqhela ukuyenza, ndiqhubekeke ndisupport ifamily. I told them I wanted to grow, and I wouldn't grow without me being separated from them. They loved me, they nurtured me at a very young age. So ukuze ndakhe kufuneka ndisusiwe kubo but ndingalahlwanga. From my very early age I was so independent. I was also renting a flat, living on my own. So ezam impahla ziyasongwa zihlale neat as they are, and if kukho ivunjana apha endlini ndigubulula yonke ibhedi yonke indawo, make sure that the place is tidy, neat and everything. But I think i-challenge into yokuba man ukhona umuntu lapha endlini, so ezikawusi uzazivasa, into ethile uzayivasa, into ethile uzawuyenza. So the mentality it's another challenge of assuming another person will assume a certain role other than helping each other. But enye into yokokuba xa kuphekwa mna I know what I love, what I like. So she never had the opportunity to cook. So ndaba nexesha lokuba itswele alibingaka likere izipieces ezinkulu and all that stuff. Now kaloku funeka abantu bakhumbule umtshato awupheleli ngalamini. We're talking about two different things, the wedding day and the marriage. The marriage itself, it is where after the whole ceremony, a wedding part is that ceremony that happens over that weekend or over that 3 days, 4 days, whatsoever. But the actual marriage, it is when two of you nijongane nihleli nobabini kulapho ke ngoku uzawuyazi into yokuba man lo muntu ufuna ukutya okunomhluzi akafuna ukutya okune salad only. Now that part alone already I was able to cook for me. So she never cooked for a man. So that thing, it had to be something that I adjust myself to. I cannot shout and expect to cook for me. Let me have something or a way to assist, to help her. How can you do this? It's not a matter of saying, okay, you can't cook, let's call it quits and then it's done. Now that challenge alone, it is something that one needs to be aware and be patient to each other. So I learned to be patient, I learned to be calm, because one of the things, we wouldn't be sitting here today just because of Imbiza. It would be a story, oh ndake ndachata nahlulwa intoni hayi wayengakwazi upheka. And these are the little challenges that people are going through, and we need to understand that one needs to overcome all those things.
When I got married with my husband, like I wasn't used kuye, so I was like feeling about, I wonder, you know, on the other room or a bathroom, so that to be safe in you know, in showing myself up. But I think he allowed myself until you know, to be comfortable around him. So then because and I know but as there are things that okay but you know, so I introduced myself to him. I'm not familiar with this, and give me time, and you know, to learn more about intimacy, and I'm not used to. We are going at the routine of having sex like every day, or 3 times a week or 7 days a week, and the touching part. So allow me to like the comfortable. So if we unbamba mhlawumbi mna ndifilisha, we are going to understand. So communication is key, you know. Let the person know how you feel, and let the person know ukuthi you are not used to this, and ingasaku allow ube comfortable with the setup and the whole thing. My husband was very soft, he was very kind. Also he would ask me how I feel, mhlawumbi comfortable, like a townie, we are going to serious, so a townie would hold my hand, see touchy, he would be like that all over me, and we are going to but hey, I'm not used to this, but I think he trained me to be part of that, and but it had pleasure though. But God wandazama adjust ukuba comfortable, because le romani uyabona, so mna ndingumuntu ungaziqhelanga ezi zinto. It's not that naye mhlawumbe uziqhelile, but it's because yena ufuna ukundifundisa. So he was my trainer, I would say. Then when he trained me, I can excel ngapha kwakhe ndathatha over. So as church you know, people, sometimes it's difficult, it's very difficult, and would find balo brother active and then now so so I would say abantu, they need to move out of that church environment and that, you know, space of becoming a brother, no sissy, and become lovers and learn, you know, and read things about, you know, intimacy. You were reading the Bible kakhulu, but now you are married, so you need to know more your partner and get ulwazi, you know, so that you can equip yourself nalo muntu usecaleni kwakho akwazi ukuthi a benefit from you, because when it comes to intimacy asokwazi ufunda iBible. When it comes to intimacy and sex, there are things esingazokwazi ukuthetha ngazo and quote them to the Bible, but we need to talk. Do you love, you know, how I'm doing this sex? Uthanda kusasa, uthanda emini, uthanda ebusuku. My husband knows uba ndithanda nini mina ngoku, you understand? But before earlier, you know, we wouldn't communicate about those things because it was difficult. So yeah, let's just learn and share. Let's communicate. Uchaza uba comfortable. Speak, you know, so that angazochoma mhlawumbe umuntu xa umbamba awumfuni okanye xa umphuza awuthandi, uyabona, mfundise. Umyeni wami, he was a kisser, he loved ukuphuza, ngqome yo Thixo wami umphuzo, it's like so wandibonisa nafumana uba nami ndiyamfunda mos, uyaqonda, ndiyamfunda uba uyathanda lo muntu ophuza, so ndizenze ready, ndiziprepare nami uba Thixo ufuna uphuza kanene lo mfu, uyabona, xa buya emsebenzini would kiss me, hug me, uyabona, lo laa mkhiso uthi mngcwa lo udip, uyabo, then nami sendiphaphama ke ngoku but you know yayi vice versa ke ngoku. Yeah,
I think kubalulekile into yokokuba iqabane lakho lazi. It is very proper for every partner to know his or her partner in any way, in any form. Sex is a very intimate part where you are exposing yourself of who you are. Mamela, ukuba ndinenxeba elisentsuleni akho mntu laziyo, siya worshipa nje ekhaya enkonzweni siphakamisa izandla, but for the first time lo mzalwane ubona into yokuba yey how handsome you are and all that stuff, kanti unenxebakazi elikhulu ethangeni. She's so shocked into yokuba yo kwenzeke ntoni. Now, one of the things that is so important about intimacy, as young as we were, we never had the opportunity where we are saying sifunde kubani, sifundiswe ngubani, and all that stuff. It is something that you do out of love. It is something that you do with or without experience. It helps that when you connect to this person, it's easy to fall in love and also connect with that person in any way or form. Now, if I would be whispering in your ear, it's something that you love. If by touching your body, it's something that you love. We speak of intimacy. We have not even spoken about sex yet. Now, to be intimate, it is where I would have my own time cuddling with my partner. That's intimacy alone without having intercourse. I think most of the people, they mess up there. That intimacy, it's all about sex. Intimacy is about holding her hand, having the time where she would say, I never had any other person who would touch myself like you touch me right now. I never had somebody who will hug me like you do. That's intimacy. Now, one of the biggest and the dangerous things, it is when somebody thinks intimacy is all about sex. It is not about sex. What does sex do in our marriage? Sex complements what brought us together. It is a part of what we should be enjoying. It is not a must. It's not a must. Because the Bible, I know, it says, she is my body. And my body, it's her body. So when we are, the two of us, we become one flesh. That is why it is not a sin for me to be naked before her. Diyathambisa noba ndize ngecala lentsula, noba ndize ngecala, because I'm feeling more secured and comfortable, because this person is not gonna say to me, yo, andiyazi ke lento ndisifake kuyo, because it always be a problem. But what is so important for us today is to understand our love language. Because for me, I love to be touched. Ndifuna ndibanjwe. Ndifuna before anything yokuthi kum hayi salala kwathini na, no, touch me. That's where that intimacy comes in. I think the other part of intimacy, it is when you prepare your partner. You don't say jiga, then kukuka. That kukuka attitude, it turns everyone off, because I'm not in a mood. Prepare me early hours in the morning. We're gonna text a message. I'm gonna enjoy my cake tonight, if that's how you call each other. You must have a language of intimacy. Now I'm gonna do a certain thing. Now that person during the day, she knows already. Instead of expecting your wife to cook, saying, baby, I'm bringing pizza today, make that environment conducive. The reason why it is no longer the thing in our days as young couples is because it has been stolen. Already, somebody is saying, okay, because nibe disagreement kusasa, already senine attitude ndoba kanena kazoyifumana namhlanje. Now, one of the other things I always say ku Mrs Shwane, a bedroom, it's not a boardroom. It's a place of intimacy. If you're gonna come in the bedroom with the attitude, I'm telling you, you are killing your marriage. You are killing the intimacy. There would be no light. Because this thing, ayenziwa ebedi. So whatever that you do, you must make sure that you bring everything into order. And that's the life of intimacy. You don't just do it because other people are doing it. You bring life to your partner.
Okay. Ndingathi into ye-types abantu ibenza bamisishe the people that should be their partners, because uzofuna i-type ngenxa yokuba ubona i-type mos ubona umtshato othile, then you would want the same type of a guy or a type of a woman because of the marriage that you admire, not knowing the character of a person. You know, eyona nto ibalulekileyo, because umuntu can have money, but lo muntu angabi nothando, abe cold, ibe ngumuntu ongathandi bantu, ibe ngumuntu reserved, but wena ubone imali because you want the life attractwa imali. So that's the type of life that you want. But I believe that the character yomuntu, you know, khona la muntu phanga phakathi emntwini, you know, that you can reach out the soul of a person, you know, because bakhona abantu you find uba umuntu mhlawumbi like my husband, umyeni wami was not umzalwane wayepha phambili at the time ndandimbona mna. Babekhona abazalwana babepha phambili ababesenza izinto like bepreacher betheni. He was not even a pastor at the time, he was just an ordinary brother. But what attracted mna kuye was maturity, the character yakhe, on how he handled himself, because I would observe him njengabanye abantu, and I would be like, oh man, this is a good guy, this is a person that I would really love to spend my life with. Uyandivisa kamandi ngezinto endihalele intoba andivisa kamandi nami ezilapha ngaphakathi kum, because getting umuntu onxiba kakuhle but this person is abusive, you know, you'll end up uhlala emtshatweni obuhlungu because ugcine le nto ba lo muntu makasoloko ehla emhle elo hlobo, but the heart of this person and the soul is not connected to you. So I would say mna iyabadelay abantu abaninzi. If you're looking for a type will delay you, because you would get a type, because i-type kaloku funeka uyihante. Ifunwa ngamehlo, ifunwa zii-feelings, but ayifunwa intliziyo nangumphefumlo. So those are different things, because lo muntu uzohamba umkhangela and you'd find ways i-type uzofuneka ufumane indlela zokuba uyifumane because ufuna le nto idibanayo. But umuntu that is connected to you, I mean, I never thought that I'll get married with my husband. Like, uhlala eMdantsane, mhlala eLitha, and there were brothers in the church before, abefike yena enkonzweni and join us in the church. So I wouldn't think about, okay, uThixo ngamzisa, because ndavangelwa nguye kahle kahle. You know, when bebeyoshumayela eLitha, bene crusade, wayevangela phayana part ye team. So I wouldn't think about kukhona umyeni wami kwababantu bapha kula cawe, you know, because ndingayifuni icawe ngela xesha. I was just, you know, umuntu opha ku main line ofocus mna to the life esiphilayo ekhaya and not the life kabawo, you know, yokuseva uThixo. So like abanye abantu in church ke ndibave nje umuntu ba ndifuna beyiseva, ndifuna seve, ndifuna thini uzokwazi umelana naye nalo muntu. You know, if you really want to get married to a pastor, like, because umuntu vele atsho aqomba amthi umuntu ba ndifuna umfundisi, are you sure you're gonna, you know, stand for uba utshate nomfundisi? So I think mna into ze-types iphumeza abantu mabanga concentrate kuzo, you know, because i-type iza kubhodisa kanti lo muntu ucinga into ba, because remember umtshato, it's a lifetime commitment, you know, until nohlule kukufa. So it's not a relationship, it's not something that ozayenza ngoku and then uhlukane nayo, into ozayenza for the rest of your life. So lo muntu uThixo angamenza lento erhalelayo apha kujeni yenu, but ungayenze into ba wena ngonaliseke wena, but nibe ngabantu udla ngokuthi omnye umuntu into bana ndifuna umuntu who's going to be compatible to me. I think ayikho loo nto, because if ikhona asozibe mnandi lo mtshato.
Namhlanje siphila kwenye i-era. I think bathi abanye abantu is the 21st century. Mna ndikhumbula kwixesha lakudala. I think ubusithi xa unentombi oyifunayo uyothetha nabazali bakho. We never had that privilege of selecting or looking for some certain attributes. These are the qualities that I'm looking for. Umuntu onomilenze emihle, umuntu omhle, akhanye njalo njalo. Now, mna ndazibuza umbuzo into yokuba, what if le milenze emihle ilimele? Do I still love this person? What if lo muntu uye wafumana ingozi yemoto? Obubuso ndibuthandayo baba sengozini, would I still love this person? Now, I went and dig deeper. What is it that I would call my type? I think umntu omoyikayo uThixo, that was one on my top list. Indoba men noba ke kuthiwa kuthandazwe ekhaya, makuthiwe noko simenzile amen, bekho into eyenziwayo as a family. One of the things that can be so critical today when one is looking for a type, abazali babesithi xa bethetha intombi yasekuthini ikufanele banibani because of abazali. They were looking at the parents more than looking at the character of the person, because apho wakhiwa okanye ukhule khona bajonga abazali more than the person. So imfundiso yabazali will be more influential in the person that you are looking for. Ubungajongi the person as individual, ubujonga ikhaya apho asuka khona. Like now, I think my parents, they've been married for more than 56 years. They've been together. Both, even my in-laws, they are still together. They've been married for more than 60 years. Wow. So if you're looking at that alone, it will tell, sometimes there will be a hint where I would say, man, but I would think, if I would kill this marriage, I'm bringing a generational curse in my family. Because enye into uthi omnye umuntu xa ethethayo uba into ethile ayenzeki, because it types sine time frames. I-type ithi ukuba akatshintshi within 3 months ndiyaphuma kulo mtshato because fanele ibingeyo type yam. If iphelile i-2 years ingekathengwa la moto ndiyaphuma kulo mtshato because that's not my thing. I-type ithi if akakwazi ufikelela kwinto yokuba andi-afforde ndiyaphuma kulo mtshato because it's not me. So the type attitude, it brings a sense of insecurity and iza kwi-level yokokuba umntu athi xa eneza expectations zokokuba ewe ngoku bekufana uba ndinabantwana babini atsho umntu because I planned into yoba before I reach i-30 kufuneka ndibe ne-boy ne-girl and at that time ayenzeki loo nto leyo. That's a type attitude that derails abantu kumbono nakwinto uThixo ababekeleyo.
Sure. Wow.
Is when we went through a financial crisis in our marriage where we couldn't work, both of us, with my husband, and we were not able to pay the house, we were not able to pay imoto, cars were repossessed, indlu was about to be repossessed. Yeah, I say close to by repossessed, but uThixo wenza ngendlela yakhe ukuthi ingathathwa indlu, abantwana couldn't go esikolweni, and that was a difficult time. And ministry wise, you know, abazalwane left the church because at the time he was the pastor leading the church. So that was the challenging moment that I would never forget, where I used to have and now I can't, where you know that I used to have a BMW, a nice car, and you know, comfortable life. I used to do this and everything was like, you know, ayiko, and I remember we were looking for jobs, my husband was looking for jobs, and we were trying, nothing was coming up. We were assisted by family, you know, fakelwe imali kwa ShopRite, sihambe siyo collect imali kwa ShopRite. You know, that period lasted us in the park 2 years, I would say, and a frustrating time where abantwana would went to McDonald's and there's no money to buy McDonald's, we would want to go out, we can't go out. And you know, sabona ukuthi, you know, abantu bangakhona in your life when things are going well, but immediately izinto zingahambi kahle nyana abantu ababikho and uThixo avele, because God sustained us at that time. Waqe abantu esingazange sacinga ngabo, like you would feel about, sometimes I would want to call my sisters but ndive pick up phone kusho ba hayi man, I'm like a burden, ndiyafeel into ba ndingumthwalo kum, ndiyaziva uba ndingumthwalo kwaba bantu. I would drop the phone and uThixo would just send someone, you know, umntu athi Mamshwane ndifuna ukuthumelela imali and can I help you Mamshwane, can I buy groceries for the kids Mamshwane, can I. So I still remember the time I started the business, the catering at the time, yeah, and it went well, you know. uThixo wavela, I was doing catering, anamoto, imagine. I would call my friends, they would borrow imoto. I remember a friend of mine took a moto with my husband and said, look, I have umyeni wami sinemoto Z2, so I'm gonna give you the moto until nize nibe nemoto. Yo, we were like, ngalo mini sasa wahamba sigoduka sibheke Eastern Cape. Then that was the time where uThixo wasinika i-relief, sasebenzisa imoto kaphindiwe until the day uThixo wakwazi usinceda. I remember the time sithi makazoyilanda because zaba nemoto, we were able to buy the car, and you know, and when I started the catering, people supported me. I would get imitshato, ndokhetharisha emitshatweni, ezikolweni, ndohambisa ukutya ezikolweni, and so we had to find ways and navigate indlela yokuba how do we get imali ngoku, how do we move from this situation. Asizoba sakhala akho nto sizoyenza, you know, because we know but this is just a season and kuvalekile, like hey guys, kuyavaleka xa sekuvalekile, jonga uvundo bajonga I'm alone and it's tight. Uyabona, but nalapho uThixo came through and ndazixela uba, you know what, this season is going to pass and you know kuzakwenzeka and sizawusurvive and you know and kuzaba right. And so I remember ke when things started to buyela back, because leading a church and you know ukule meko ukuyo abazalwane most they would think about now uzawuxhomekeka kuthi, uyabo, and uzafuneka zonke izinto because mina noma wayiphangela nam I was working, so izinto ngoku zitshintshile akukho nto, and abazalwane basishiya, and bahlala shame abacommitted, they stayed with us, and until sade sarecoverisha, and when we recovered they were there, and we khange siyeke, umkhonzo uThixo, we continued serving God, we continued sisenza umsebenzi kaThixo during that time. So those moments angekhe moments that I would never forget ebomini bam, zandenza into yoba understand who I am and why I'm in this marriage, and uThixo wasiveza even ii-characters zethu at that time ukuthi singobani kahle kahle, and why we're here in this marriage. We're able to build up together, and saqalela izinto zenzeka, and here we are.
I think la period mna indifundise into yokokuba nokuba kwenzeka ntoni na, everything that is genuine, it has to be tested. For the first time in December, in our disposal we had only 100 rands. Siyo high kasia a camping. It was just another thing that I said to myself, ubona uThixo nanku esebenza, because sa hike siya from East London to Port Alfred, because the route is normally used by truckers and tourists. So si hike siphethe 100 rand. I think hike kwethu yayi 25 rand ukuya. We don't have anything, but one of the things that took us through at that time, sayofika apho siya khona, but coming back kufuneka siphilile, uku appreciate the little things. Ndibuye ndiyokhangela umsebenzi ndingawufumenanga, ndikhwela itrain ndiphethe smoothies eza sweets sibabayo siqhwethayo. She will be excited ndiphethe negwinya. I mean, there's nothing at home that we can eat as a couple and all that stuff. But as the time goes by, you would wonder and ask yourself, how did we did it? Sidlule kanjani? Now, enye into ebanga umcelimngeni, because xa niqhele i-income ingena endlini, now all of a sudden ayikho as a couple, iyakutesta wena as a man, because ithi iBhayibhile, a man shall provide. Now provision, it's not there anymore. What do you do? So iye yandithatha yandibeka kwindima yokokuba mandifunde ukusebenza, mandifunde ukuzenzela izinto with the help of the Holy Spirit. I think uThixo simbeke at the center of everything that we do. And I realized if some of the other things besingakhange simthathe uThixo to be at the center, we wouldn't be able to overcome them. The problem is for us not to understand the seasons that we are in. You will find yourself in your Gethsemane experience where you will face challenges ezizakubangela into yoba ulile, uthi ngeli xesha sowulilayo ubone into yokuba akukho mpendulo. Losing umsebenzi, it's one of the other things, but sustain a family, it's another challenge. I cannot be at work, but with God's provision. Into ayifunayo uThixo into yokuba, do you stay through to what you believed in? Lento ukholelwa kuyo uyakwazi ukoyama ngayo na nangemini ezizembandezelo uthi ndiyakholelwa kulomtshato ndizawuhlala kuwo, imali khona imali ngekho. Moment you pass that test, you can be able to say, I have stood the test of time. If forgiveness is very personal, and in as much as it is personal, somebody needs to acknowledge that I need to forgive. There is no way that you can move to a level of forgiveness without acknowledging that somebody has wronged you. And uba awukwazi ukuthi lo muntu undimoshile, lo muntu undenze into erongo, ngoku kufuneka ndithethe nam ndizixelele into yokokuba apha ndingene kulo mtshato ndingalindelanga into yokokuba everything will be bed of roses. I'm not saying everything cannot be bed of roses, but when that lightning strikes, what do you do? Now, that is why in the city, umtshato, it's an institution apho singena khona without mna bendinokuba confident into yokokuba ngoku nanku umyeni wam utshitile, nanku unkosikazi wam utshitile, nam I've done that. In module 101 on chapter 6, cheating, I've passed it with distinction. I've excelled 95% cum laude. Now, I know how to handle that issue. There is no such in marriage. So we deal with them as they come. I wish somebody could tell me and said, no. In one of the things that you should do to deal with or abuser verbally, emotionally, because some of the other things, some other people, they are in emotional relationships as we speak. But she is saying, man, I've been abused. We are not talking about something that is as practical. But some of the things that we're going through are so emotional and they are hurting, killing us spiritually. These things are eating in our inside. Now, you will end up, if you don't forgive, end up with rage. Rage is very dangerous. Unalamsindo ungalawulekiyo. Unalamsindo uthi xa kuthethwa ngawo apha ekhaya into umama afuneka uchukumise kwa uCarol Boyce wakhe, otherwise kuyawuqhuma yonke into. Now akanamsindo because of the glass that has been broken, but unomsindo because of the things that have been piled up. Now we need to understand when we are dealing with issues of forgiveness, you are not saying to the perpetrator, well, I'm forgiving you so that you are fine of what you have done to me. Forgiveness, it's not about the person or when they enjoy wrong. It's about the victim. The victim is going through a lot because why did he do that? Why he never tell me? Why he never said anything before? A lot is going through her mind. The blame game, it prolongs that thing, or it opens up that wound. Now, one of the things that is so dangerous that people they need to be careful, we speak of gangrene. Gangrene is a very dangerous wound. On top, it looks like as if it's healed, but underneath, into iza wena ubukubone abantu who have ever experienced gangrene iba ibise emlenzeni la mlenze inyama iyabhenda iyabonakalisa into ba ukuphawu lento eyakhe yahamba because esasilonda sihleli siqulungene. That's the danger of forgiveness. People, they must learn to forgive. It's an art of learning. It's not thing that can happen overnight. It's not something that happens because somebody says sorry to you. But one needs to hear that word, I'm sorry, from that person needs that. But when that person receives that from you, allow the person to heal. Thank you.
In these 22 years, I would say I still choose you as my husband. And I think in these 22 years, the the more I see you, is the more that I want to be connected to you, to be attached to you. So my love is growing and growing and growing, more to you and connected to you. And in these 22 years, I want to thank you for making me to become the woman that I am today. You know, you give me space. You know, you allow me to become who God created, and thank you for that. Thank you for knowing my love language and making me happy, and you know, appreciating me. Thank you for doing groceries and making sure that we are happy at home and our house is warm. So I pledge today that I will still marry you even in the next 22 years, and you be my husband. I love you.
It is this hour, the moment where we should learn to appreciate each other. I appreciate you, I love you, I honor you. I think mostly for me, it's not about me anymore. It's all about us growing together. I think the importance of understanding what love means, it's about sharing your intimate part with your partner, which is I'm opening my heart to be this person, sharing who I am, simple as I am. I know you are saying I don't talk too much. I think this is probably what I'm experiencing now as I'm growing. I think my quietness helps me a lot, but with all that, if it bothers or it intimidates, I try by all means to make sure that I speak, and I'm going to be very loud. And in as much, I think I wrote a note that you came into my life at the time where everybody think, oh my goodness, you are still very young. But your strength, your courage sustained us to be where we are today. And the love that you have for your family, for me and our children, it is what takes me to be the person that I am. I love you so much. I think this journey of 22 years, it has been up and down. But all those up and down has made us to be where we are today. You know, it wasn't easy. When like people, they're looking at you and they're looking at us, and I'm growing and you are growing, but can we add a little bit more of the spice so that we take it to another level? I love you so much.